If you are negative at work, I understand that it's probably because you don't like the job, but do you like your colleagues? Do you like having money at the end of the month,
Mhm.
paying your bills? Like, I
Mhm.
mean, there's a lot more than, and maybe you like the customers. Maybe you
Mhm.
like the part where you send emails. Maybe, like, there's so many things you can have that you can like about your work. Don't focus
Mhm.
so much about what you don't like. Focus on what
Agreed.
you like, um,
Mhm.
and don't feel obliged. Sometimes people feel like they should be all adventurous and they should be all this and that, and that's
That's
just
that FOMO.
that's a FOMO, totally.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chai with Us podcast. This is episode number 14.
Today we're gonna talk about work life and purpose in life, and I really hope
Mhm.
you enjoy this episode because it's very dear to our hearts, I guess. I am drinking vanilla and caramel tea. What are you drinking today,
Mm.
Ivana?
Cozy chamomile. So it's really cozy because I'm about to fall asleep. So let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, so today we are kind of in this very light, energy, and let's just go with the flow. I feel like I could be listening to some reggae songs right now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's how
Or
I feel
jazz.
today. Or jazz.
Yeah.
Jazz was
Yes.
also would be a good idea. Also, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as I said before, we're going to talk about purpose and we're going to talk about work. Ivana, do you want to start talking about? You are so good at describing things. Can you tell us like what purpose means?
Well, purpose means to what is the reason that you're alive? Like you were put on this earth for something, and the whole point of your life is to figure out what your purpose is. Like, do you spend all your life um, figuring out, like, is this my calling? And I like the word calling because it's like calling. What does calling mean? Like, is someone
Mhm.
calling you? Like, is God in the universe calling you, and you have to answer? Like, what do you say? So I've heard that a lot of times people will say like, well, I don't know what my calling is. I don't know what my purpose is.
Yeah.
And sometimes they go into like this like negative energy of like, I have to figure out what my purpose is. I'm not having a meaningful life.
Yeah.
No, like your purpose is to be alive. It is to, for me, it means to like live your fullest life to your best ability. And it
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily mean that like, oh, just because you're this, that's your purpose. No, it impacts all areas of your life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can. I like the fact, like the meaning of living in purpose. That means
Mm-hmm.
that you are living aligned to your values and aligned to what you are supposed to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Every action you can take your purpose in every action of your life. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we have this idea that we should our work should be our purpose, and it's not
Yes.
always the case, because you can have a normal 9 to 5 job and still
Mm-hmm.
live on purpose. You can write for fun and
Mm-hmm.
have your 9 to 5 job. You can help people as a volunteer and still have a 9 to 5 job.
Mm-hmm.
You can love football and be a football coach instead of being a famous football
Mm-hmm.
player, right? There's so many things that we can do to live in purpose. I feel like there is this idea, especially in the personal development world, that
Mm-hmm.
we should be Oprah. That right? Don't you have this?
Yes.
Don't you get
Yeah,
this?
yeah, yeah.
You can do everything. You can, right? We can do everything, but like, what do you want from your life? Because if you are
Mm-hmm.
happy with the work that you are doing right now, I mean, then stay, and then in your free time just do some activities that are closer to your heart. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong about having a 9 to 5. A 9 to 5 is okay if
Mm-hmm.
that's what you want to do. If you want to live a more comfortable life, you don't have to be all adventurous, to live in purpose. You can live in purpose in the little things of life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What is it that you
In
consider to be your purpose in life?
wow. Okay. So in Ayurveda, the ancient science that they use in India to help classify people,
Mhm.
they say that you're in purpose or you're in balance when you live according to your dosha. So once you know what type you are in Ayurveda, and you figure out and you line everything up, like your life, your work, in accordance with that dosha, that type, you're living in balance. and that is presented in your health. So to answer your question, I think for me, it was learning about Ayurveda, figuring out what my type is, and then doing everything to be in balance with that type. And I've noticed that because of that, I'm living a healthier lifestyle. I'm so much healthier than I was 10, 15 years ago, because now I know what aggravates me. And it can be anything, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be just like eating the right food. It's having the job that makes you feel happy, or having the getting a new relationship with your family members,
Mm-hmm.
healing certain like past relationships with friends. Maybe you had like a breakup with a friend and going back and healing that.
Yeah.
So for me, I think my purpose is like, people are always talking to me, like no matter where I go, even if I'm in a foreign country, people open up to me and tell me their deepest, darkest secrets. So
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe they see me as a trusting person or what they see, but it happens across the board. If I'm in Poland, people are asking me for directions, even though I'm not Polish. If I'm in India, I'm having some really deep things that people tell me like about, like maybe they've been abused, and they come to me and share that with me. So I think my purpose is to facilitate an environment where people can feel healthy, to open up to me and to release maybe a deep dark secret that they've had for many years.
Yeah. And I think you are living your purpose every day, to be honest. It's just like
Mhm.
there's never a situation where I felt like you were not listening to me or something like that, you know? You really
Mhm.
facilitate conversations in your day.
Mhm.
So you're living it already. And
Yes.
that's really cool. Yeah.
What about you? What would you say is your purpose?
Well, I consider that I have two purposes in life. So, first
Mhm.
of all, my purpose is my happiness, right? It's
Mhm.
a little bit
Mhm.
similar to what you said with Ayurveda. So, I want to make sure that I am happy, that I am not drained, that I am taking care of myself above all. And then I have another purpose, which is like to help people who have been through trauma, to live their
Mhm.
lives, like
Mhm.
to show the light and show them that there's another life, that there are a lot of
Yes.
possibilities, because I have been through this situation. And then that's
Mhm.
what I take out of it, then I can take everything I have been through and help people, with my training
Mhm.
and everything. But this is not possible if I don't take care of myself, if I'm not
Exactly.
first. So I'm trying to help people how to be happy, and then I'm miserable. Like, there's no point. So the main goal is really to be happy, respect my
Yes.
values. Yeah, that's the
And
main.
I think that what you said goes really well with what Ayurveda says, is to be in balance with all areas of your life.
Yeah.
There's this Bosnian saying that we have, and it says you breathe with full lungs. And what that means is that like you're living your life to the fullest capacity, like you're enjoying everything that you're doing, and you're just in abundance with that.
Yeah. I mean, you just said like to be in full balance in all areas of your life. What does that mean?
For me, that means that your relationships at home are harmonious. The work that you do is in congruence with what you believe is your purpose, and um, just waking up every day and being grateful. This book that I'm reading right now is called Vulnerability by Brené Brown, and she talks about how important vulnerability is, and how like that's how we get through life. And I'm sorry, I'm having like a little brain fart. What was the actual question you asked me? How do you live in balance with your life?
No, the question was more like, what does balance means? I remember
Ah,
thinking about it, because sometimes we think that balance means like our life is in complete harmony, which is kind of impossible. So I was wondering if,
yes.
if you could explain like what this balance means.
Balance means just being okay in all areas of your life. Like one, maybe you're doing really well at your job, but your family relationships are suffering. Well, that's not balanced. So then maybe you need to like put more of your focus on your family. So I think it's about, to have balance, you have to focus yourself on one area and then focus on another area. That's what it means to me. How do you define it?
I think that balance is pretty much being okay with the
Mhm.
situation that you are in. Not
Mhm.
necessarily that everything is always okay, because that's impossible and that puts a
Yes.
lot of weight on us. I
Mhm.
think it's
Mhm.
more about being okay, and feeling content with whatever is going on at the moment. And just if you have to change something, then go ahead and change something, but always with that knowledge that it's not possible to have everything, okay? Because sometimes in life everything is perfect. Today,
Yes.
today I feel completely balanced. I feel like
Yes.
everything is perfect. I wouldn't change like a millimeter in like nothing. But that's not always the case. Sometimes you
Exactly.
have a fight at work, sometimes, and it's not like your everything is unbalanced. It's just, you know, something went wrong and now we're gonna do something to balance. But it's like a dance. I think that balance is more
Ah, I like that.
like a dance, yeah. And we you know, we're dancing and we go with life and we're trying to fix whatever is more important. I wrote something about that and I will share it in the description.
Yes, please.
It's sometimes
I
when
love what you said. Yeah, I love what you said about how, like, especially as women, also, you have to be okay with certain areas in your life not being in balance. And we're so hard on ourselves. We always think that, like you said, everybody's supposed to be Oprah because she set such a high standard. Well, that's not possible for everybody. And I think when you're going through hard times in your life, coming back to gratefulness, that's what Brené Brown said the other day when I was listening to her. And it was so beautiful because she said, people who go through struggles in life, if they can come back to gratefulness, then they get through the situation much faster and in a healthier way. So when we're going through a hard time, maybe at work, and if we can just be grateful and remember all the things that we have in our life that are going well, we'll bounce back emotionally much faster than if we don't, if we're not grateful.
Yes, yes, that's completely true. And I love Brené Brown. She has a beautiful interview with Lewis House from the School of
Okay, yes.
And go watch that interview. I think she has either one or two. I don't remember, but go watch her. She's just she's herself, and
Yes, she's real.
yes, she's real. She's real. She's really cool, and I love her. And go. It's really good advice to listen to and to read Brené Brown. I never read her, but I saw a lot of talks and I watched it. And
She does a lot of research on shame and what shame does to us in our life, and lots of research on vulnerability. So she has actually gone out there and done the studies and interviewed so many people. So it's really interesting to like listen to her like talk about it. And I think a lot of it goes well with what we say about empathy and gratefulness and just being in the moment.
yeah, she's so beautiful. So she's in is you see, like she's in purpose. She's in
Yes.
purpose. She's carrying herself and she's living life, doing what she's supposed to do. And this is I just so admire her.
Yeah. There's this thing that I heard many, many years ago, and it said it like this is for people who are trying to figure out like what their purpose is and what work they should be doing. So it said to list every single job you've ever had and even list any activities you've done, maybe hobbies, and then write down what qualities were in those jobs. So then you do that, and then across the board, you will find one common denominator. You will find what common things they have in each job and each hobby that you have. And that way you can narrow down your interests and figure out what your job should be. So I've done that a couple of times, and it's actually really helpful to get in focus with like what do you tend to go towards, like what interests you, like what really makes you come alive.
Yeah, that's really cool. One thing that helps a lot as well, two things. First thing is going back to your childhood and remember what is it that you most enjoy doing. Because when we grow up, then we start doing different things. We take different paths because someone gave us an advice, and then you should go to college or you know things of life. And then when we're kids, we're so innocent. We are just ourselves. We are born ourselves and we're just ourselves and we experiment like so much. So if you go back to your childhood, you are probably going to find what you really love. And another thing that I love, sometimes people ask me for advice, like I don't know what to do, what is it that I can do, Erica? And my advice basically is just try things. Like don't be scared to try new things because you have no idea, especially if you are someone who did everything correctly. Okay, like okay, I went to college, I did this, I did that, relationship and everything. Sometimes you didn't have the time to try things, or maybe you can, like for example, I have lived like a traumatic situation that I was out of when I was 18 years old. I didn't have
Mhm.
much time to explore. I did do some things that were cool, like theater that I liked in school and stuff like that. But it's not like
Mhm.
I had a lot of time to explore things. So then when I became an adult, I had to give myself the opportunity to try things, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
how I found my purpose, you know? That's how I found that I love plants. That's how I found that I am actually a sports person. I like to do sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know that those things about myself. And so
Mhm.
allowing myself to explore really gave me this idea of who I am and what I'm here, for.
Mhm. And I love what you just said because it's so important to remember that in life, it's not all about just work, it's about play as well. So allow yourself to have certain play that brings you back to your childhood. Like I started coloring mandalas. And there's very therapeutic coloring while like you're listening to a book because you're in the moment. Like I love coloring. I never realized like how much I love coloring. Now I'm nowhere near good to being an artist. Like you don't always we always think about like we have to be the best in everything. No, like just color the mandala, draw, come back to like your creative self and figure out what you like because when you're in that mode in that creative mode you're in meditation, you're in the now, right? Like you have to be fully present, you're not thinking about anything else.
Okay, so yesterday I had my improvised birthday party, and guess
Yes.
what I received as a present? I received,
Mandalas.
yeah, a coloring book, not the
Yes.
like mandalas, and I was like,
Yes.
come on! And you have been talking about this for some time now that you have fun coloring your mandala. And
Yes.
on my own, I'm excited to start. I'm very happy.
It is. You'll I love it. Like when I get home, what I do is like I change into my pajamas so I'm more comfortable. And then I sit down and I listen to my book and I color the mandalas and I'll do two or three for about an hour. And that helps me decompress from the work that I did during the day to like get back into like, just to relax and prepare yourself for bedtime. I think you're gonna love it.
I think so. I'm excited. I was like texting friends and like, what kind of pencil should I get? Because they're
I
very
use markers, yeah. You know
yeah.
what also you'll realize, which I think is such a good analogy, sometimes I'll color one thing and I color another thing. I'm like, oh, this is going to be so ugly because those colors don't go well together. And then when the product is finished, you're like, wow, that turned out really nice. And I think it's a good analogy in our life of like how sometimes we think something, a situation is so bad it's going to impact our life. And then when we get to the end of it, you're like, wow, that was such a good learning moment. I
Yeah.
needed that experience to become the person I am today.
Yeah. Before you spoke about the importance of like loving what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important, but it's something that people struggle with a lot, right?
Yes.
Because sometimes you are in a very bad situation where you really
Mm-hmm.
hate your job and like you would
Mm-hmm.
love to do what you are supposed to be doing, but it's not possible in the moment. What advice do you
Mm-hmm.
think we can give to these people?
For those people, I would give come back to your meditation practice and come back to your gratefulness. Because if you can every morning wake up and say 108 things that you're grateful for, you'll realize that your life is actually really going really well. And that maybe the only thing that you're imbalanced is in your work. And it's going to take some time for you to find the work that is suited for you. But every job you've ever had has taught you a skill. You know what I mean? It was necessary for you to evolve and you learned a valuable skill that you can take to another job. And so if you can just wake up in the morning and do your own self-care practices that we've talked about, I think almost in every single podcast, because
Yes.
it's so important. Wake up, do your meditation, do your yoga, do your gratefulness. Like for me, the way I had to do my meditation, I had to say 108 things of things I wanted to remove from my life. So for example, I want to remove the thought that I think that I'm too fat. I want to remove the thought thinking that I'm like not pretty enough. I want to remove the thought that I think that I'm stupid. So I
Mm,
would say 108 things I want to stop thinking about, and maybe I said them two or three times, and then I do 108 things that I'm grateful for in my life. Like I am so grateful for my friendship with Erica. I'm so grateful for this podcast. I'm so grateful for having food in the morning. I'm so grateful for having a bed to sleep in. I'm, so grateful for having my health. I'm grateful for being able to speak. And you just do this, and then what you realize at the end of all this is like you have so many things that you're grateful for that this minor thing of like not liking your job is just minute, like it's minor and it's going to work itself out. Like learn what skills you need to learn and then start actively applying for new jobs and putting it out into the universe. And so you can also do 108 things that you want to attract into your life. I want to attract money into my life. I want to attract a soulmate into my life. I want to attract like really great friendships into my life. So
Mhm.
that's how you start changing your thought process, and then you start feeling better about your situation. At least that's what has worked for me.
Yeah, I love it. Once um I had those jobs that I didn't like and I was miserable and complaining and everything until until my mind shifted. And what I used to do is just I pretty much just wrote down everything that I could do, thanks to the job I had. Okay.
Mhm.
So once I decided that I wanted to switch paths, I started to study, I started to travel and to do, but
Mhm.
I did all that because I had the job. If the job
Mhm.
is giving you money, if the job is helping you pay bills, like, I mean, you're cool. It's like some people don't
Yes.
even have a job. So focus on the good things that your job has, and then
Mhm.
act on whatever you want to do, because you feel
Mhm.
miserable when you're doing nothing. Because if you are doing something, if you are on your way, if you are going to achieve your goals, if you are doing everything you can, something little, even if it is little every day, you're fine. You just have to be a
Mhm.
little bit patient and just follow Ivana's advice on start looking for jobs and being active,
Mhm.
trying to change the situation. Gratitude is a must do. I love
Yes.
what you said. Just great.
Yes.
Hmm.
And also start networking. Start doing, like, I was always taught, like, to do those coffee dates. So like you email a person that you admire, maybe on LinkedIn, that has a job that you want.
Hmm.
Email them and ask them to have coffee with you. And then obviously, like, wear like work clothes that, you know what I mean, you need to look professional. And
Hmm.
then take them out for coffee and have an informational interview with them. And almost always they will ask to see your resume, and that they will pass it up to like someone in the company. Almost always. Like, I've had so many coffee dates with so many people. And then please, please, people, this is so important. Remember to write a thank you note to the person that you're having coffee with, because they took time out of their life and out of their work to come and spend time with you to help you along your path. And they did that because somebody else did that for them as well. But then you need to be grateful for that. You need to be appreciative of their time and
Hmm.
attention that they're giving you. So it's so important that you're professional. You write them, handwrite, and a note and send it to them, because that's, they're going to be surprised by that, because people don't do that anymore. Like, now people just send
No.
an email and like, oh, that's okay. But then when they get that handwritten note, they're going to like think about, this person actually like cared and they wrote me a handwritten note. They're going to care more about you, and they're going to want to help you out because they're going to see themselves in you, and they're going to want you to progress. So they're going to like make the right connections for you. And it's not always going to happen at the beginning. Maybe you're that person put you in touch with somebody else, and that person put you in touch with somebody else, and so it's going to be the third person. But that's how you get a job. That's how you move into the area you want to be in, is just
Hmm.
doing these informational interviews over coffee. But dress the part. Like, don't go in jeans, you know what I mean, unless you want to work at a coffee shop, or like work in an environment that's conducive to that. But if you go in jeans and a t-shirt, you send the wrong message, you know what I mean? And maybe that's just me, because I come from a law perspective, that like we wear a suit. Like, I had people tell me that they don't go in a suit. I'm like, what are you thinking? Like, hello, you have to go in a suit. That is like our uniform.
Presentable, look presentable. That I think is what
Yes,
it is. Just look presentable. Look like you are trying to get a job. I was
exactly.
I once had an interview. Someone was wearing something like, I don't remember the exact sentence, but it was something like "I don't care" on the t-shirt. Like, I mean, I was like, no, I'm not gonna hire you. You like, I know this is horrible. Hire like we see a lot of people every day, and like if you don't stand out and if you don't look like you really want the job, then I mean, we're not going to consider. I don't hire
Mhm,
anymore, thank God.
mhm,
And it was tough. It was hard work, but yeah, I agree with you. Just look good, okay? Maybe not a
mhm,
suit. I don't know what type of work you're looking for, but look good. I like
mhm,
casual chic. For me,
mhm,
even if you're wearing jeans, dark blue jeans, uh,
mhm,
a shirt, and you're done. You don't need anything
mhm.
special. Just look good, look clean, nice.
Yes.
We're giving advice on getting a job, Ivana. And you were very good at that. I didn't know. I didn't know that you were so good at giving like advices for people to find a job. That was really
Well,
cool.
because people have asked me to read their resume. So for a while, like, I used to correct people's resumes for
Mhm.
them, because I went through that. Like, I went through having to have so many coffee dates, so many informational interviews. And then just, that's the best part. Like I have this one friend who no matter what, he will write the most beautiful thing about you and try to connect you with another person. And then that person, like, it's like they feel obligated because they're friends with him to go have like coffee with you. But our time is so valuable. So you want to make those coffee dates count. You want to make yourself be remembered and memorable. You know what I mean? And that's why it's so important to write those thank you notes. Like there's never been like one time that I did not write a thank you note, because it takes no time. Like, thank you so much for meeting with me. I really enjoyed getting to know you better. I look forward to keeping in touch with you. Please keep me in mind if a position at your firm opens up. Thank you so much. Done. Put a stamp on it, mail it.
With that, a good handshake and looking confident.
Yes,
You got it.
absolutely. We talked about that in another podcast. You have to go in there, shake their hand, say, I'm Ivana. Thank you so much for meeting with me.
Look people in the eye. Yes, shake their hand. Seriously, once I knew this trick, I always get the job. Only like, I don't know how many, 2 times or 1.5 times I didn't get the job. But seriously, I look presentable. I am myself. I shake hands when I arrive and when I leave.
And the other thing that you need to do is when you start meeting people and you start getting their business cards, on the back, write some detail about them, right? So if you're at a networking event, you're having wine, you're meeting someone and they're talking, I always ask personal questions. I want how many children do you have? Are your children in college? What are they doing? How are you handling this being a mom? And then you write details about this person on the back of a card. And before you go to the next networking meeting, you review your cards and you review all the personal stories that people have told you. So then when you see them, you're like, oh, how is your daughter Betty doing? You told me that she was applying for college. How is that going? And all of a sudden they're like, wow, you remember something personal about my life. So they're going to care about you even more because you remembered something about them, and they're going to care even more about you. And that is so easy to do. That's a trick someone taught me. Write on the back of the business cards, and before you go in, review that. And that's, like you said, I've almost always gotten the job when I've had the interview because I make it personable. I ask them about, what did it take you to get to this position? Like, what is like, I'm afraid of this. Like, when was the last time you traveled? And then you talk about travel, or you bond over a country. So that's how you get the job. Make it personable.
Yeah. Okay, guys, if you are looking for a job, send Ivana an email and hire her. Because she's good. Seriously, just email her. Her email is...
That's so true.
She's good.
Chai with Us podcast, or you can email me at okoloisabels@gmail.com.
Use the Okolo Isabels and send her an email because she's going to get you a job. That's so cool. And when you are looking for a job, if you are trying to move jobs, or if you are feeling unhappy with your jobs, I just feel that it's important for you to know that you do not necessarily need to work in your purpose, or you don't need to be like the highest celebrity ever, because you can live in purpose doing small things, as I said before. And sometimes we kind of misread this whole purpose situation.
Yes.
And there is nothing wrong about having 2 jobs, a 9 to 5, and then leave your purpose when you have time for it. There is nothing wrong about having a part-time, and then during the rest of the time you are living in your purpose. And you can take your purpose to work. I discovered this recently. Like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, I am always going to be in purpose. You know what I mean? I am going to be aligned with my values. I'm not going to wear two-face. I'm going to be me. We talked about masks before, and some people like you are. I had a colleague once. She was a terrible colleague. Okay. She was saying. She was a little bit selfish, and she would, complain about everything. And one day we were having a conversation, and she was telling me about her son and how she was playing with her son, inventing stories, and I'm like, God, you are so caring, you are so loving, you are a great person. Why do you have to be a bitch at work?
Did you actually ask her that?
No, I was thinking. I thought it was too much. She was opening up, and I was like, I saw it as an opportunity to bond with her and to actually have a better relationship. So I didn't want to say like, why are you such a bitch? But but I mean, you don't need to like, if you're nice, be nice. I mean, that's not. I saw it in her eyes. That's not who she was.
Right.
So if you are negative at work, I understand that it's probably because you don't like the job. But do you like your colleagues? Do you like having money at the end of the month, paying your bills? Like, I mean, there's a lot more than, and maybe you like the customers. Maybe you like the part where you send emails. Maybe like there's so many things you can have that you can like about your work. Don't focus so much about what you don't like. Focus on what you like. And don't feel obliged. Sometimes people feel like they should be all adventurous and they should be all this and that, and that's just
that FOMO.
That's a FOMO, totally.
Yeah.
We spoke about this episode. I don't remember.
I think 1 or 2 past episodes. Fear of missing out.
Yeah, fear of missing out. We spoke about this, and sometimes we're like we're missing something. We said it before. This is like your path is your path. And you can't go to other person's path and leave their path. It's not possible. So you are at the right place, exactly. And if you really want to change, then change it. But it's totally possible to transition. I am transition right now. And luckily I am in a job that I actually enjoy, and this is cool. But I think that this is part of the work that I've been doing to really appreciate where I am, and not being like nagging about, I complain sometimes, I'm a little bit nagging, but I'm grateful at the same time because now I have holiday and I have money to do whatever I can, whatever I want.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I will record videos for a week, you know what I mean? And I can be cool and chill.
Which means that I'll record videos for a week too, because we're recording them together.
Yes, kind of. No. We are recording what we said we were going to record.
Yes.
I'm going to be recording for my YouTube channel, everybody.
Yes. Which is exciting.
Own YouTube channel. So yeah. With a full-time job, it's possible. Not something that is not possible to do.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. It's really coming back to gratefulness again, over and over again. Just being grateful for like, what does the job give you that you're grateful for? It gives you money, and you use that money to live. Like right now, I'm not working, and I'm grateful for having my parents and having a house to stay in and not having to pay any bills. So I'm lucky in that sense. And look at how the universe blessed me. I have like a couple of months to work on my business, to work on a book, to do this podcast with you, to help like start to maybe run a retreat somewhere. So the universe has blessed me with this time to really do things that I want to do. Whereas opposed to before, I was maybe like so busy doing something else that I didn't have the time to focus on this.
It's true. You see, there are 2 different lives living in purpose.
Yes.
Totally. And sometimes I envy you. Sometimes I'm like, oh damn, I wish I had all the time in the world to do this. And sometimes you're like, oh damn, I don't have a job. Like, and
it's always the grass is green on the other side.
Of course. But in the end of the day, we are grateful for the situation we are in. And that's where we're supposed to be. And that's it. And look for happiness in the moment. That's the purpose.
Yeah. Right. For me right now, I feel like I'm standing somewhere and there's like 3 different paths open. It's like, which one do I go on? Well, it doesn't matter which one I choose because it's going to lead you to the same destination. So, maybe you'll choose the rocky path, or you'll choose the smooth path, or, the one that that's the dark path that you don't know where, like it doesn't look like it's going anywhere, but it doesn't matter because it's my path and it's going to take me to where I'm supposed to be, and it's the same destination. If you just remember that all paths lead you to the same destination, then you won't get so bogged down by choice. I think sometimes, we talked about this in another podcast, we can be overwhelmed with the choices that we're given. And then we like don't know how to make a decision. Just pick one path and go.
Exactly.
Start walking.
It can't go wrong because, as Ivana said, It's the same destination. You're gonna get there either way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Maybe you're not
Yes,
getting where you think you're getting.
exactly. That's a beautiful comment.
Maybe you know what I mean. And
Yes.
sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to go there. I want to go there. And then I realize that's not there.
Yes.
Here. And
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna happen, and that is totally fine. That's the beauty.
Yeah.
The beauty of things. That's the beauty of everything,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are
So
we
we
ready?
want to hear
Oh,
from
sorry.
our audience. Oh, sorry. Did you want to say something else?
No, I was going to say, are we ready to wrap it up? And you will wrap it
Yes.
up.
That's because we're on the same wavelength.
I'll shut up.
So we love to hear from our audience. We want to know, like, what is your purpose? Have you found your purpose? What type of work are you doing? Are you happy at work? Like, we'd love to hear about how your day is going. So please email us at chaiwithuspodcast@gmail.com. Like us, share us. We're on YouTube, we're on podcasts, we're on a couple of other apps as well. So please, like, let us know how you're doing.
Yeah.
And if you found any of the information helpful too.
Yes. And write down in the comments. I was going to do this at the beginning, but I forgot. So I'm going to read a comment that we absolutely love right now. So this comment is for episode number 11 on abundance. Go see it. It's one of our favorites, if not our favorite. So Andrea from Portugal, she says, congrats girls. I just love your podcast. In fact, all the ones I listened. About this one, well, for me, abundance equals joy or happiness I have in my life in all different ways. Staying healthy, having a family, friends, good relationships, able to pay the bills, all the little details of joy in our daily basis. It's also what I'm grateful for, what I've accomplished until today. The struggle I had to reach goals and what I still have to do to reach more goals. I am still capable of doing it. And money is, like you said, positive or bad energy. It depends if you are capable to manage it in what you want and need. Why not spend more in groceries if items quality is better? And if you can, it's a positive thing. For all that, so many reasons and details of happiness in our life, that is abundance. I just love this. Kisses for you girls, and keep going. It's a good work. Thank you, Andrea, and
thank you
for watching. See you next week.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.